Gadadha Srivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Last time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Oh, prem, prem. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jai Ram Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, 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 Gaura Premanande. I am Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajapatari Sota Sota Shishimana's Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Namacharya Shri Harida Thakur ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki Shri Ganga Maya ki Yamuna Maya ki Bhakti Devi ki Tulsi Maharani ki Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru. All glories to Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 69, text 30 to 33. You all can see it. They can see it. Nobody else can see it. Okay. You got it up, Johnny Tai? 10, 69, 30. We'll let you chant the prayers. Hey, John. See you. Go ahead. You can read. Yeah, you can. Jayantanam Kasinam Purusham Prakrite Param Shushu Santam Gurun Kyapi Kamer Boga Saparya. Are you going to do the other Sanskrit? Oh, the word for word? Yeah. Yeah, I'd love it. I love it. Dhyayantam, meditating. Ekam, alone. Asinam, sitting. Purusham, on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prakrite, to material nature. Param, transcendental. Shushu Shantam, rendering menial service. Gurun, to his elders. Gwaapi, somewhere. Kamai, desirable. Bogai, with objects of enjoyment. Saparyaya, and with worship. Translation and purport. Translation. Somewhere he was sitting alone, meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to material nature. And somewhere he was rendering menial service to his elders, offering them desirable things in reverential worship. Purport, Srila Prabhupada comments, meditation as recommended in authorized scriptures is meant for concentrating one's mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Lord Krishna is himself the original Vishnu, but because he played the part of a human being, he taught us definitely by his personal behavior what is meant by meditation. This activity of meditation indicates the Brahma Muhurta, the early morning hours before sunrise. Translation text 31. In one place, he was planning battles in consultation with some of his advisors. In another place, he was making peace. Somewhere, Lord Keshava and Lord Balaram were together, pondering the welfare of the pious. 32. Narada saw Lord Krishna engaged in getting his sons and daughters married to suitable brides and bridegrooms at the appropriate time, and the marriage ceremonies were being performed with great pomp. Purport, this translation is based on Srila Prabhupada's Krishna. The word Kale here means that Krishna arranged for his sons and daughters to be married when each of them reached the proper age. Like its last text, 33. Narada observed how Sri Krishna, the master of all yoga masters, arranged to send away his daughters and sons-in-laws and also to receive them home again at the time of great holiday celebrations. All the citizens were astonished to see these celebrations. Om Aganya Timidandasya Ginanjanan Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pricharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyata Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhastya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitenam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Again, beg the blessings of all the senior devotees. Very grateful to be in front of all of you this morning. And I've got some dramatic effects that will come a little later, so be ready. There's some. Thank you. I'm going to sneeze just to get that blessing. Where did all the devotees go? Yeah, thank you all devotees from on the chat. So we're watching chapter 69. We're watching Narada Muni. He's observing the activities of Krishna in Dwarka and all the palaces. He's just checking it out, seeing what's happening. Lord Krishna is doing many different things all at the same time. And as Sundarnath Prabhu gave a nice class yesterday, a little impromptu class, he was mentioning that like at about 8:25, I have to get up and go to the office for a 9 o'clock meeting. And boy, I just wish I could just stay here and send a representative to go and you take care of the meeting. But I don't have that potency. Krishna himself, he can send all kinds of expansions unlimitedly, whatever he wants to do. And so he can 16,108 wives, no problem. Right? No problem. Just expand himself and then send like that. And so Narada Muni is sitting there going, wait a minute, what's happening? He married all of these queens and now he's engaged with all of them perfectly in loving reciprocation. And he's observing, at this point, he's observing that somewhere he was sitting alone, meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is a topic that's obviously dear to my heart because of, teaching Hare Krishna, Arjuna, teaching in this yoga world or where people discuss meditation. So I thought we'd spend a little bit of time on meditation. That sound good? Okay. I really like the liberty that the translators took on. They said this activity of meditation indicates the Brahma Muhurta. It indicates that you're up early. I like that. The early morning hours before sunrise. It's for sure the best time to meditate. And why is that? Krishna's got a beautiful arrangement, but we got to come back to earth here for a moment. What's the scoop? Why is that such a good time to meditate?
Everything is so peaceful.
Yeah, Sattva-gun, right? There's Sattva-gun. Even in New York, 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, John. Less distractions. That's right. Sattva-gun means less distractions, peaceful, at ease. Just walking here this morning. Y'all been to the 4th Street? There's that little 4th Street market. There's a guy, he looks, I can't tell what ethnicity he is, but he says Hare Krishna. You guys know what I'm talking about? I finally spoke to him today. He's because he says Hare Krishna, and I said, "How are you?" He said, "Good." He said, "I said Happy Janmashtami." He goes, "Oh yeah, when is that? Is that yesterday?" And I said, "No, it's today. It's today. Happy Janmashtami. You should come to the temple." "Oh yeah, I'll come. I'll come." I grew up in West Bengal. Like, amazing. Yeah, I used to go to all those things. Guru Puj, Saraswati Puj. Used to do these different things. And I could just see his demeanor because I said, "When are you done?" He said, 8 o'clock. I said, "Come to the temple. 8 o'clock. It's good." So that means what is his shift? Midnight to 8. So he's watching, he's got the best shift actually for that type of thing. I mean, I don't know about on the weekends, but midnight to 8, he's up. He's during that. There's those Sattvic hours, even in New York. 6 o'clock walk, only 3 people I think I saw on the walk over on a Monday morning. So why is it so conducive? Because it's Sattva-gun. And that's the time that the mind can be absorbed. We can stop all of this different distractions. I mean, I came in, I thought somebody was doing kirtan. The japa, she's singing as she's chanting japa. I thought, oh, this is going to be so distracting for me. And then I sit down and because now if this was noon or something, I might get a little bit agitated or whatever, but it was such a beautiful thing. You could just hear every now and then you'd hear her singing her japa. Of course, Sharon, I'm glad he's laughing at this. This is good. But it's true. It was very beautiful because we still have a little bit of time left. 8 o'clock goes around, you're going to start you're going to start hearing the cars come zipping by again. And then all of a sudden you get distracted. So meditation here, Lord Krishna is meditating on, he's giving the example. He's meditating on himself in one sense. But he's sitting down. But how do we meditate? In our culture, the idea of meditation is actually what most people are giving. I would say, almost 99% of the apps, you can get apps. Anybody download a few apps for meditation, right? Get the app, Headspace, whatever it is. And you can get into it, but what they're actually teaching is concentration. They're not teaching meditation. They're teaching how to concentrate, right? Take a few deep inhales, take a few deep exhales, focus on this thing because like in the Headspace app, for instance, it'll take you 10 minutes meditation and it will just, because the mind's uncontrolled, it'll just give a nice, beautiful voice. I think this guy that runs it was an Australian, so he's got this nice, deep voice, and he just says, "Now, take a deep breath and think of an ocean." And then you're there. You're at the ocean. Feel the breeze. Oh. And then you're there. And so he just guides the mind for a little bit. And what is he doing? He's teaching you how to concentrate your mind because our minds are not concentrated enough. We can't concentrate. How long can we concentrate? Very short amount of time. Because we're in our day-to-day activities, we get distracted by so many different things. So we can't concentrate. So most of the meditation that we're given is about concentration, but it's not actually meditation. Because as Prabhupada's commenting, as Krishna's actually exhibiting, meditation is meant for concentrating one's mind. So the concentration part has to be there. On what? On something transcendental, beyond the senses. If you don't concentrate on something beyond the senses, you're not meditating. Because meditation is meant to lift you out of the senses. Otherwise, you're meditating on the senses. You're meditating on the different experiences. So something that's very nice is, if you've never meditated before, you meditate on the breath. So you sit and you meditate on the breath. Has anybody ever done a silent retreat? Nice, right, Arnie?
Yeah, that's my class. So you're meditating on the breath. What do you meditate if it's on the depth? You stop breathing.
Yeah.
I
I don't know. Not there yet. But what does it do? What does it do? If you've ever done it, nobody's ever done it. I've done a 10-day and a 3-day before. So what happens is our minds are so rajasic, so tamasic, that when you start to meditate on the breath for the first day or two, you can't believe how much you're in the future. That was my experience. Planning. When's the next retreat? What's what I'm supposed to do? How much your mind is in the future. That's Rajagun.
How much your mind is
in the future.
Oh,
In the future. It's moving towards the future. It's planning. It's thinking of different things. It's like that, right? Or it's jumping to the past. Tamas, looking in the past. What's happening? Why did that happen? What was that about? And so then it's just oscillating back and forth, because that's the nature of the gunas. So the gunas are going, pushing you back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then you're sitting there and you're meditating on the breath, and you're thinking, wow, amazing. Okay, I got to come back to this breath. So I've got this one single point. And so what does it do? The pinnacle of sitting and listening to the breath is that you come back to sattva-gun. Because the nature of the mind, the actual nature of the mind is sattva. So that's why when we steal all of you, we're all going in a flowered airplane. You ready? Pushpaka Viman. We're going. Ready, Primanjali? Here it is. Now we're going. Now we're going to go back to Australia, Gold Coast, right? And look at that. Look at that smile. And you go back there and you get the Gold Coast, and then you look over and you see a mountain range, and all of a sudden you stop thinking of all of this different things, and you're awed with the beauty. Sundari Gopi was showing me pictures of her trip to Peru and beautiful mountain ranges. And you just look, and then you get into nature, and all of a sudden you just see, oh, because from that vantage point, you're seeing sattva. And then all of a sudden your mind comes back to its natural state. Just for a moment, and then you start thinking, well, I should take a picture and I should show people on Instagram, and I should do this and I should do that. And so then the modes come back in. But naturally, the mind is meant to be situated in sattva. So if you do that for 3 days, 10 days, whatever it is, you have that experience, and it's shocking. Because you don't realize how much you're planning. You don't realize how much you're back there, but then it's shocking. And then you get in the mode of goodness just for a little bit, and you think, oh, this is so incredible. And then you start wondering, because it's a silent retreat, you start wondering, why do people talk so much? Because you're just walking around and you're meeting people, and you're having full conversations just through the glance, right? Especially if you see somebody in the other, different, if you have a liking for someone, you don't have to say a word to them. There's one exchange to the eyes, and you can understand many different things, right? Sidelong glances. We read about it all the time, but what does it actually mean? There's so much energy that's there. When we were teaching yoga classes, I would always say, turn to your neighbor. New York, I'm so sick of looking at people, right? Turn to your neighbor. Why? Why is it so intense to turn and look at your neighbor. I'd say, turn to your neighbor and then just give them a fist bump, look them in the eye, say, we're in it together. And then they'd do, oh God, they'd have to look at their neighbor because they understood that there was power in their glance. And that power in their glance comes from where we put our attention. So if we're putting our things on sattvic things, like we go to the Gold Coast and then we see the beautiful ocean, or we go to the mountain range and we see the beautiful, then all of a sudden that starts to permeate us. But our problem is we got these things and it's just rajas and tamas. And so we just chew this, eat this, drink this up all day long. And then we wonder, well, why can't I concentrate when I'm chanting japa? I saw Prabhu, it's so hard sometimes. But what am I eating? What am I devouring all day? Rajas and tamas. So I'm having this experience of sattva gun when you're completely peaceful. You're not meditating on, the past or the future, and you're just amazed with how that one breath becomes something huge, it's powerful. And now you can see, why do I need to even talk anymore? I don't need to talk. Everybody's just yapping. And that's what happens when you go back into the culture. And it lasts, how long, Goshan? Maybe a day. You spend 10 days for maybe a day. Maybe. You spend 3 days for maybe a day. Because we're not the controllers, we're not the enjoyers, and we are so subject to the modes of material nature. And we're just bombarded by it. And then now you might keep your mouth shut for a day or two. You might say, but your mind is already activated again. And then you're planning and you're thinking, when am I going to do that next trip? When's the next retreat? When's the next 10-day? When is it? Because you can't control this thing. Because the mind's made of what? The mind, the subtle body's made of the mind, the intelligence, and the ahankara, the false ego. So I told you I have some fireworks for you. You ready? So here's your mind. You ready? And what does the mind do? It accepts and rejects. So the mind looks like this. This is a donkey. Okay, can you all see that here? Here's your mind. This is a picture of your mind right here. It's a donkey. It accepts and rejects. Adi, give me some grass. I'll do anything you want. Right? That's what donkeys do. They work hard. They carry grass on their backs, right? They carry big things on their backs. They work all day, 8 to 10 hours a day, and then their master just gives them a little grass. They could have just turned around and nibbled some of that, but they couldn't see it. So this is the mind. This is our mind. We accept what we like, we reject what we don't like, and that's how it goes. So this is what our mind looks like. And the funny thing is about the mind is that it's based off of what? Sense gratification and our previous impressions and karma. So my wife can't get on an elevator. Makes no sense. Makes no material sense, but it makes great sense if we've continued lifetime after lifetime and there's an impression there. Don't go into a closed space. Something might not happen to you here. This is going to be bad. So it just carries that. And so some of us love riding elevators. When you were a kid, you remember riding elevators? You press the button and you go up, you go down. Sham's never done that because of previous impressions that are in mind. So she hates elevators, you like elevators. I love cars, you hate cars. Because somebody got in an accident in a car and so you want to stay away from it, right? And that's how it works. That's the mind. His name is Jack. You caught it. There you go. Jack. Say it, Goshan. That's his name. That's the mind. That's what we got. This is Jack. But then you think, oh, well, Jack, I need to steer Jack in a better way now. So then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to deal with my intelligence because I'm so smart. So I'm so smart and I'm so, people really appreciate how smart I am. And so then you meet your intelligence, right? The buddhi. And just like a cow, cows are sattvic, cows are nice. Just like a cow, if you take care of it nicely, then it starts to love you, give milk, give you good direction. So the intelligence starts to come a little bit more under our control. But how do you feed the intelligence? What's our process? What's our process for feeding the intelligence?
Listen to Shastra.
Thank you. I thought it was hear as many audiobooks as you can. I thought it was hear as many podcasts as you can. I thought it was, get as many degrees as you can, Adi. So we think we can strengthen the intelligence. Have you ever had that experience where you think the more you get, the more you do, the stronger it's going to be? But that's not our process. Our process is Shastra. Shravanam Kirtanam. So then, because when you hear transcendental and it's beyond the modes of nature, when you hear stuff beyond, because everything else we're hearing, podcasts, this, that, and the other thing, whatever it may be, is bound by the modes of nature. So you're not actually refining your intelligence. You're just playing in the modes of nature, and you might be more attracted to a certain mode. Oh, this is really good. Well, this is how this works. Is it? Is it? Because it changes. Say you get into exercise and you get really into it. You think, oh, this is, and then you, I got to listen to this podcast on exercise. And you get really deep into it. Oh, this is amazing. And then this is how you train. And you do back and biceps, and then you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this, and you think that's incredible. And then 3 years later, they say it's all crazy. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't eat like that. You shouldn't do that. Because it has to change. Because it's all bound by the modes of nature. But if you hear Shastra, just like this cow, then your intelligence gets refined. So now the intelligence starts to get refined because it's beyond the modes of nature and we're hearing Shastra. And as we hear Shastra, then the intelligence starts to make better decisions. But then we're stuck because we still have that one layer left. I remember somebody asked His Holiness Radhanath Swami a question about the ahankar. Like, how do you deal with the ahankar? And they asked from a place of, it wasn't necessarily humility. It was kind of a sense of like I can fix this, like because my ahankar right now looks like this. It's, Midwestern, white body, 42, whatever it is. This is, whatever I'm going to put on, this is my ahankar. I'm a devotee. All these different things that culture's told me and that I've bought and that I've accepted. So how do you kick this ahankar out and understand who we are beyond that? So he asked this question to Radhanath Swami in a certain way, but he was a little bit more challenging. Like, I can use my intelligence to listen to Shastra. I can by my own strength. And he said, absolutely not. He said, you'll never take away you ready? Never take away your ahankar unless he kicks it out. Unless he kicks out the ahankar. It's not possible. Because the ahankar is ruled by Krishna. So unless Krishna kicks out the ahankar, unless he helps us to be lifted from our false conceptions, then we have no chance. And so therefore, Krishna is giving this amazing example right now where he's sitting and he's meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And just by that meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then Krishna can take the ahankar, take the identifications, take all of those things, and then he can move those out of the way for us. And our subtle body can be purified. So this is the process of meditation. You have to go from the senses completely out of control, right? Senses are out of control, forget it. There's no chance of meditation. Control the senses. Srila Prabhupada amazingly comes in here. 4 regs, do it, no problem. Come on. Lift your life standard, right? Do these 4 regs, figure this stuff out, control those senses. And then as soon as you do that, you're going to get your strength to concentrate back. You have to. But then what are you going to concentrate on? So as devotees, we can concentrate, this has been my experience. If the senses are controlled, generally, unless you have some real mental distress from previous, experiences, it's like you can concentrate much better than the general population. But what are we concentrating on? So if we're meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, if we're hearing the holy name, if we're listening to these stories on Janmashtami, Krishna's Janma, Krishna's birth, Krishna's activities, if we're listening to those things, then what does he get to do? Inside the heart, he gets to do all the work, and he gets to reveal to us, share with us, exchange with us, those things that will actually uplift us. So this is the sweetness of hearing these pastimes. That was just a little introduction. So in one place, he's planning battles in consultation with his advisors. In another place, he's making peace. And somewhere, Keshava and Balaram are pondering the welfare of the pious. He also saw him getting his sons and daughters married. So what does this even mean? This is so far out. But doesn't it feel sweet to hear that Krishna is doing all these things? Is this any different than hearing about him killing Putana? Is this any different than him advising the Pandavas? Anything that's connected to Krishna is just so sweet, isn't it? You just feel so much shelter when you start to hear these pastimes. He's doing what? He's getting his kids married? He's meditating on that? He's performing these activities. And why is he performing these activities? He's performing these activities so we can we can meditate on, we can be attracted by them. And then we can come back because we've got these human forms. He's meditating as a human. He's showing people what it looks like. He's delighting us by all of the inconceivable stories. It makes no sense. Makes, as Raghunath likes to say, makes no material sense. And he's delighting us just by sharing his beautiful pastimes with us. And so right now we're in this part of the Bhagavatam where we're hearing about his Dwarka Leela. And today is a special day to meditate on his appearance. So the highest form of meditation, and just to wrap that up, the highest form of meditation is devotional service. It's devotional service because you're completely absorbed in it. So it's almost inconceivable if you think about because the idea of samadhi, what we've been given in the West is this idea where somebody's eyes are rolled in the back of their head and they're sitting in lotus posture and they're just sort of floating away. But actually, every morning you come here, you're watching people in samadhi, even if just depending upon the state of their consciousness, but if you're seeing them run back and forth, it's actually samadhi. Hey, quick, 8:15. Hey, oh yeah, it's actually samadhi because you're trying to please Krishna. So it's a beautiful thing that Prabhupada gave us was service. Because then we have to engage these senses. We have to engage this body, and then we're engaged in this service. Especially while our bodies are still fit to perform devotional service. Because at some point, the bodies won't be so fit to perform you might not be able to be back on the altar. You might not be able to do all those things. But the heart will remember that. Has anybody ever saw that video of who's Gopal Krishna Maharaj? Unbelievable. We did so much puja, so much, deity worship, and there he is sleeping, but his body was very, he was leaving his body, but he was sleeping, and he's sleeping, and you could see him. He was doing the full arti. You could see when he had the chamara fan even. You could see his arm do something different. You could see him, then he would put water on all the items. He's sleeping, but he's not sleeping. He's absorbed, because sometimes the bodies won't be able to actually do it. I don't know if at that point he was been able to even be on the altar, but he was still performing this service. So that's the destination where the heart goes, or where we're asked to go, where the hearts are meant to be, in continuous devotional service to the Lord. I was watching, as I was chanting japa, I just saw Jaini Tai just walking back and forth, and then he just saw the chamara, saw the peacock feather, and the peacock fan, and he just picked it up and moved it. And I thought, this is it. This is a devotee. This is like there's never an obstacle to do devotional service, because we can always perform something where we can help. And so may the hearts be excited today, because today's a marathon, not a sprint, right? You started early, Bhava Bhakti, you started very early, and it's going to go very late. So it's a marathon right now. We're just getting started, slow and steady. Let's see if we can make it all the way to the finish line tonight. I didn't talk anything about the appearance of the Lord, but it's 8 o'clock, and I'll open the space for some devotees to start to share. Ananda Bihari Prabhu.
He somehow left the Zoom, so.
Oh yeah, well, he's a new dad here again. He's got duties. Okay, co-host. Anything we need to know here, Amrita Kishori?
Can we have questions or comments from the temple room? Anybody? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you really brought it home. Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita.
We can't hear Adi.
Can everyone hear Adi?
I agree with you, Venetia.
We can't hear Adi.
I'm asking him to get near the computer because we are using that sound.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead. You could probably hear if you just talk.
Yeah.
It's a little easier if it's close.
Yes. No, it's fine.
You can hear okay?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear now.
We really brought it home. Meditation, controlling the mind. But Arjuna says the mind is more difficult to control than the mind. And Krishna says it's possible by constant practice and detachment. Constant practice. So in the old West, I say ready, aim, fire. We just fire. You don't get the target, So our initial bridle that we put on the mind is our job of meditation. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And then it doesn't stop there. Constant practice means, like we mentioned here, that we're meant to be more devotional service. The Guru gives us prescribed duty. Krishna gave Arjuna the prescribed duty. We inquire, what would you like me to do? And with a few words, he gives you something that puts your whole heart, or your strength, or your focus, or your desire, your facility, or your talent on. Probably say to distribute books. Then you can fill your life with it, Give this to others. What I've given you, Prabhupada said, you want to thank me? Give what I gave to others. So we want to be hearing that total absorption. We met when monk living in a cave in Malaysia. And he said, "How many hours your master told you to meditate?" I'm meditating 4 hours a day. Simply, he gave us to meditate 24 hours a day. What? 21? What do you mean 24? Even if we're sleeping, we're trying to get these Krishna so that we can do our service. And whatever really throwing Krishna to give myself to you. Love wants to give all. So when it controls the mind is best friend. When it doesn't, the mind becomes the worst enemy. And like you said, you're either focused on serving Krishna or there's going to be distractions and you're going to be all over the place. Krishna is like a piece of rope that's splayed, but a devotee is one-pointed. Prema Pumat, love of Krishna only. Madam Mohan gave this really nice class, and he said, if once in your life you say, Krishna, I want to give myself to you, even casually, if you say that, Krishna hears that, he's going to make the arrangement that you can go from whatever degree of absorption you're in to full Haitukiya Pratita, unceasing, unmoted devotional service to Krishna. That's the only way to satisfy the self. So Krishna appears to give us something to focus on. And our mind is purified from material desires just by hearing these pastimes. That's what Krishna says. And when we're free from material desire, we don't just be empty and dull and sleeping, but we say, Lord, I want to give myself to you. And Krishna will reciprocate with that and help us. Well, glory to Srila Prabhupada who showed us. We follow him around to this day. Now he's chanting, now he's doing some bhajan, now he's writing, now he's preaching, now he's translating. He's always engaged in devotional service. Well, glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you.
Please, oh.
A little
Yeah,
closer
the
to
appearance of
the mic.
Ananda Bihari's son. That's right. Hari Bol, Ananda Bihari, Hare Krishna.
Somebody was talking in the temple room, is that right?
What's that?
I heard somebody talking in the temple room. Is that a question going on?
No,
He
no.
was trying to
Was
take
there a
over.
reflection from Adi?
Okay.
Oh,
I think
John's got something. Is it just for our own benefit? What do you think, Jani Tai?
what's the question again?
John asked, is devotional service just for our benefit, or is it for the association, I think, of all the devotees and like that? Yeah, it's a good question. It's both. It's both. I mean, it's obviously for our benefit, but actual devotional service is for pleasing Krishna, and then by doing devotional service, you get in the association of devotees. Yeah. Arjuna Prabhu?
I'm straight. I wasn't raising my hand, but if
Oh.
you're purifying yourself, then you're going to purify others. So it's yes, no, all that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Jai Giridhari Prabhu. What happens if
Yes.
I'm engaged in devotional service and thinking of Krishna, but I'm not really watching my tamasic and rajasic diet carefully? What happens to a devotee like that?
If you're not watching your rajasic and tamasic diet, but you're engaged in devotional service, is that what you said?
Yeah, it's a question. It's an anonymous question.
Okay, anonymous. Yeah. Well, you're probably not going to be able to digest so well, so you'll have to stop your devotional service after some time then to make so if you really want to keep it going, then you gotta watch that diet, Ananda Bihari. Tell that anonymous person that.
Tell him he's right here. He's listening.
Premanjali?
You were talking about how when sometimes what you're consuming, right? If you're consuming things in the mode of goodness, then that will the consciousness be in the mode of goodness.
Yeah.
And that very often we all get stuck in that cycle of scrolling or so many things that you see, and it gets very much like passion and ignorance. My question is, sometimes you logically understand that what you're doing is not in the mode of goodness, or like theoretically you understand that maybe won't help me, or that's not going to be, or sometimes you might be in a place where you're like down or you're low and you think, okay, well, if I chant Hare Krishna, I'll be happy, but I'm just not on that level, or I'm just not in a place where I'm like doing that. So you just choose to keep staying in the whatever it is that was comfortable. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are, like sort of ways to break that cycle. If you don't really feel like maybe you're on that platform already of like, oh, I logically get it, but I still kind of don't want to do it. Or like there's like a blockage there to actually actioning the understanding that you have.
That's a good question. Yeah, did you all hear that? Hear that?
Yeah,
Nanda
yeah, we
Bihari?
heard it. We heard it. Yep.
Yeah, how do you break that cycle? And that's the whole thing. I mean, this is gonna sound very 1970s or something, but it's like that's like what the morning program's about. It's like that start early, because otherwise we're just dealing with the modes. And in New York City, I have so much compassion after leaving New York City and coming back. I don't know if that's the word, compassion. So much thought about New York City because it's just heavy Rajas and Tamas. And why does every open space have 47,000 stickers and graffiti on it? Right? It's just like, what? And dark colors, and just it's so heavy for the mind. It's just like, what an impression. Meanwhile, Beer's looking at a bunch of nice black walnut trees. So the impressions are just so much deeper, or sorry, so much more sattvic in that sense. So it's very difficult to get out of that. But it's possible through, as Adi was saying, it's not just suitable practice or constant practice and detachment. It's also through like understanding that like I'm caught right now. I know one thing that's always been helpful for me is that I just like going to bed early. I've never done anything great after 10 o'clock at night. It's like a threshold. It's like anytime that 10 o'clock comes around, where does my consciousness go? I don't even know who I am. Whoa, you just go down a slippery slope and then you think, my God. Or if the association that you're around is very passionate, then the next thing you know, you're looking at those, you're thinking, oh my God, maybe this is something. And then you just see like, wow, doesn't make any sense. So the associate, like in New York, for sure, it's the association that you keep, for sure. And then it's being really humble to the fact that the modes are super thick here and insulating yourself in one sense, being like nothing good. I got to go to bed, or I got to wake up early, because just by getting those sattvic hours and that nice deep japa. I wasn't joking. You missed it. I was talking about your japa. It felt like you were singing today. It was nice japa, but it was like just by getting that, and you will lose a taste. Krishna will take that taste away from you to be influenced by those other influences. And it's mystic. I mean, it's a mystic experience. If you're satisfied like that, you'll see, you'll miss out on, there'll be something else that when you're in a lower mode, that will really attract you. But when Krishna's protecting, he actually protects the consciousness, the mind, where it goes, what it focuses on, and then he can uplift you. So I would say, yeah, definitely association, and then just being gentle with the hours, the times, and as Nanda Bihari said, also that food, because man, that food will do it to you. I don't know how many times I've been in New York where if you eat, you eat something that's not prasad or something like that, the dreams I would have, beer knows, it's like anytime I would eat that was not prasad, I would have a crazy dream. I'd wake up, I'd be like, what do we eat? What was that? Oh my God. And then I would tell a story. It was like I was taking on others' consciousness. It wasn't even mine. So be thoughtful about that. Anything else?
By the diet, I meant not just food. I also meant everything we consume with our eyes, with our mind.
Yeah.
Anything that goes
Yeah.
in, that's diet.
Yeah. 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 Good point. Roshan, what's your thoughts?
What you shared, like first accepting that we are on a weak footing when you're in a city like New York City.
Yeah.
So yeah, first accepting that and taking measures is one thing. And as you said, it's very mystic when we are in a good consciousness, nothing affects. But the danger is if not, then there's too much to be affected by. So then to break that cycle becomes much more difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. Mano?
I believe also at the end of second chapter of Gita, Krishna speaks about the necessity to regulate the senses. So it's not exactly that he's saying immediately stop everything, but recognize where one is at, regulate them, and gradually transcend the modes in this way. And so at the end of that second chapter, he's saying regulate the senses, and by the power of spiritual strength, then one can transcend these lower sort of qualities.
Good point.
Yeah, so that just came to mind.
Nice. Good point.
Thank you, Manohar Prabhu. Krishna Kumari has her hand up.
All right, Krishna Kumari.
Hey, Haribol, Jai.
Hey,
Jai
Hari
Shri Sharadam Muralidhar. So yeah, I was thinking how we each have our own personal relationship with Krishna, and it's not like anyone else's. When you're talking about samadhi, a good friend of mine, Ruth from Jiva Mukti, she used to say that nobody's samadhi looks the same. And I think Janmashtami is a great day where, you know, you get to see like, how do I want to serve Krishna? Who is my little Krishna? Just like that.
Your little baby Krishna, huh? Are you
Little
revealing
Gopal.
something for us, Kumari? You know how you transcend the modes is have Krishna Kumari's prashad. That's how you transcend right there. She's got the best. Yeah. Agreed? Agreed. See, we've got fans over here, Krishna Kumari. Good prashad. Thank you. So we're gonna go and serve. I think the deities are about ready to be open. Thank you all so much. Wish you all the best. Thank you so much. And Shri Radha Muralidhar ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai Giridhari Prabhu ki jai. Temple room ki jai. Zoom room ki jai. YouTube ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, everybody.
Ananda Bihar Prabhu,
Yes.
we're gonna have a Guru Puja first, I think.
What about Guru Puja?
We're gonna have that first before darshan. Darshan is
Oh, okay,
about
okay.
8:35, so I don't know if
all right,
how
all
you
right.
wanna.
Okay, so then let's take darshan of Krishna in our heart. Krishna sees what's going on. I have to sign off. I have to go to work. But it was so nice spending the time with you all, dear devotee. We're fast until midnight. Apparently, do your best. Annabelle, nice tilak. Okay, anyone wants to say anything? Bhima Prabhu, why don't you say something? Something poetic. He's frozen. It looks like he's in samadhi. Okay, all right. Okay. Bhima Prabhu, you ready? You want to say something? You want to finish it off today? Something that rhymes.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. All I can say is Hare Krishna. Here's Guru Puj. Hare Krishna.
Okay.